Okay, yeah, I think you can't join us today in talking, and I'm waiting on Julius, and I think all three of us are gonna go live streaming. I'm sorry, not live streaming. I'm already live streaming right now, but all three of us are gonna do the FaceTime thing. So Christine, if you don't mind monitoring on one of the social media outlets. Oh, okay, wonderful. All right. Let me let me get Julius real quick. All right, so Jorge and Bree, give me 1 second because I'm gonna get Julius on the phone and then I'm gonna FaceTime you guys. So you guys get ready to FaceTime me. I'm gonna see your faces. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. All right.
Thanks, thank you, everybody. And
You can
happy
have.
watching.
I love meeting with my students. Today's gonna be a really good debrief and a review of the life of the Buddha with all of my students.
Your call has been forwarded to voice.
Julius is busy. Let me FaceTime Julius. Ooh, just fell backwards. Sorry. Thank you for your patience. It'd be like this sometimes. So Julius is busy, so we'll just get Bree and Jorge. And Christine will be monitoring on one of that. Hello!
Hello.
Alright, let me get Jorge on here. And Julius is tied up with something. Alright. Thank you everyone across social media for your patience. It's gonna work. It's working. Alright. Of course, and you would wear a shirt that says "Good Times," and that's the first thing we see. That's the first thing I see is a shirt that says "Good Times." I'm sure you having a good time over there right now. This was an amazing outcome. I didn't realize it was gonna be like that, because I approached Biko Bodhi and he kind of looked at me like, "Who are you?"
Did you really? Oh
And I
wow.
says, "I'm Venerable Chi Dao," and he says, "Oh, you're the Venerable Chi Dao."
That's
Oh,
great.
and so I was able to get him to sign 4 copies and 4 exact only copies. Amazon had no more copies. Where is it? It's right here.
Wow.
And I got a video of him
Oh man,
signing.
that's amazing.
I got a video of him signing it. Each one of these was personally and privately addressed to each of you.
Wow. Thank you so much. Wow.
Can you believe it? He is the only one. Look, this one says Jorge.
Wow. Thank you so much. Wow.
Wow, that is so
That's so beautiful. Wow.
blessings. Wow.
And oh, this is
Thank you
Christine's,
so much, Master. Wow.
and this is Bree.
Wow.
Nice.
That's awesome.
So we will have a chance to probably go see him at his monastery in New York.
Really, that's wonderful.
Bante G is in West Virginia, so I may make my trip to go see you, Miss Bree, and then go visit
Oh.
Bante G. And your camera's zooming out a little blurry. I'm not sure what's going on.
Let me see if I have Wi-Fi.
It's not the wi. It's not the Wi-Fi. It's the lens. There you go. It's like it's got problems zooming in and out.
Oh, well, I will say I might have accidentally crushed my phone in a car door, so that could be part of it.
Oh, that's okay. That's all right. That's all right. And then he gave a very fiery talk. So if you paid attention to tonight's 1 hour Dhamma talk that he gave on Venerable Sarnapala's channel, it was a very fiery one. He's Bhikkhu Bodhi is known to speak out. He's not afraid to hold in. And I found my voice buying through how some of these senior monks project, because they got to go first. We young monks cannot pave the way. That we got to like look around for permission, and we got to look around and see whether or not this is in fact appropriate and would be consistent with the Theravada order and falls under the right speech. So I am just ecstatic to let you all know that the meeting went very well. I brought.
Is that this one, Master?
Yes, that's the one.
Thank you.
Yes, that would be the one.
Cool. I'm gonna put it in the comments. Thank you.
I bought 2 robes to donate to them, and the one of them was the same color that you had, Jorge,
Yes. Wow.
and then the other one was
Wow.
red because Venerable Sanapala started wearing red, so I grabbed from my collection for my novices. You know, we have a lot of robes people donated for our novice program, so they got a kick out of that. They were like, "Oh my God!" He just started whipping out robes and offering robes. Then towards the end, there was a gentleman that had been on the biweekly panel that wanted to see me. He was so the way how I feel about Bhikkhu Bodhi. Well, he felt, oh my God, I get to meet Venerable Jidao for the first time, and I said so. And then there was a couple of lay people there that said, we'd like to spend some time with you after you are finished with the event. So they took me out to Panera Bread and sat with me.
Oh, beautiful.
And they said, thank you for sharing your story. You know, I've been very intimate about my previous mental health issues when I was younger, and my relationship with my parents and my mom. Very outspoken about how things transpired, how I suffered as a young man, bipolar depression, suicidal ideation. And we talked a little bit about that. And I was an open book, and they really wanted to know, how did I get started? Where was I at and where I want to go. So it was like literally the cherry on top of the cake, because I couldn't ask for a better outcome I was scared walking in there. I mean, I have waited. I've never shared this with anyone. I've waited years, perhaps. When I came across his teaching on the 4 protective meditation function, and I was so moved by it, that was 6 years ago. So I waited 6 years to see this man. Can you imagine waiting 6 years to see somebody?
Wow. That's amazing.
Additionally,
So exciting.
additionally, all of my 23 years of studying Buddhism came down to last week's bi-weekly discussion to ask one question and I had to make sure, ask the question so that Bhikkhu Bodhi remembers you when he sees you, because he's almost 80. As a teacher, when a student asks a question, and if a question sticks out to a teacher like that, then the teacher will remember that student based upon that question. No different than Saint Xavier of North Florida, who, when he asked this question at the time, he was like 14 years old. And I'll never forget the questions that Xavier, Min, I think those were the only 2 youngest students I've ever met that asked PhD level Buddhist questions. And I'm like, where did you guys come from? What planet are you from? Because I'm like, normal kids don't, even Buddhist practitioners don't ask these questions. And I'm like, you guys are different. You guys are very different. So I was scared, because I wasn't sure if he was going to remember from the biweekly, because he's almost 80. I mean, I'm 36 and I have memory loss, nonetheless reaching 80. So, and then, I'm just trying to gauge everything there and see how this is going to go. Just every minute is like an hour in your head, trying to anticipate every move. And then He gives the demo talk. Everyone wants to meet with him, and I'm like, oh my god, I have this box of books that I need to go. You know, he sees his box of books, and he's like, I ain't signing nothing, boy. If you don't get away from me, security line 1, security to the front, security to the front, and oh, Kristen is watching us on YouTube. So, anyways. And I like got down on my knees. All this was captured on GoPro, and there were so many media that I set up. It's half my suitcase was media. So, and because you guys are on live, hold on, look it right in front of you.
Oh, wow.
That's just this table, nonetheless, at the event. So
Wow.
it was like paparazzi. I was like I was monk and paparazzi. And the only thing I wanted him to do, the only thing, God, desire causes suffering, right? I desire today. I adamantly desire to no end for him to sign your books. It wasn't about me, it was about you guys.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much for that novel. That's amazing.
Thank you.
And it wasn't about the signing of the books, it was about the reflections of your heart. It was about, and Kristen is watching this, and I want Kristen to hear very carefully, and I'm live because I want the whole world to know that I made it this far as a teacher, and this is in the era of celebrating the lion's roar as a teacher, as a young teacher, and that not only that I believed in you, each and every single one of you, there was something special about each and every single one of you that made me just grab you and took you underneath my wing. I willfully, knowingly, and intentionally, and actually did that. But it was the reciprocity of you believing in the teacher. But how do we know that? Well, number one, Bree here has been with me the longest. She is the longest following students historically. Okay? Second of all, to continue is Donna, right? And I don't care about the money. Of course, you guys donate money. I don't care about the money. It's the act of the heart. Money is just, it's just a number on the thingy that gets me French fries from McDonald's. I don't care about the money. Okay? But it was, you know, it's like the act of it. It has always been the act of the people that makes them a hero. It's always the act of the people that makes them a saint. No different than we see criminals out there. In a split of a second, they had a change of heart and helped an officer save his life, and they became a saint, a modern day hero and saint, right? It's always the act that defines who you are. Hold on, we have... There's always somebody jumping into my... He's acting a fool. Okay, all right. Then the cherry on top of the cake is the incoming of our Rinpoche, which I have a separate anxiety about because he's still over there and I'm still here, and I'm just like, well, I need this to go through, and once this goes through, I am content for the remaining balance of my natural life. But your commitment, your guys' commitment to the exuberant amount of money for Rinpoche's incoming. But what does that mean to me besides the amount of money? It's not the size of the money. It's the fact that you believed in my adjudication, assessment, and evaluation of a 31-year-old human that doesn't even belong to this order. That I adjudicated this person to be the wise, to be one of the top wise human ever found on this planet. You believed in me, and therefore I wanted to express how grateful I am because you believed in me, right? And I think as a teacher growing older, nothing really matters anymore because the teacher needs the student to believe in him and believe in the process so that you can transcend your suffering once and for all. Without faith, you cannot do it on your own. Without faith, without the guidance of a teacher, I just don't know how people are going to transcend their suffering the way that the Theravada sees it. So all of us are working together in order to transcend suffering. That's it. That's all. So the fact that this was done, it just got it out of my heart. The weight on my heart, just because when I am grateful for people that they do things for me, I express it in such a great way and will go to great lengths. And mind you all, for all those who are watching around the world, I'm sitting here, it's really cold here, right? And I'm getting out in the cold, and I remember I'm like, I can't believe I fought through a blizzard to go see Bree. Literally drove through a blizzard with the snow I mean, it was like all the accident you see, the horrific accidents of people sliding and slamming. You never seen a Buddhist monk pray to Jesus and Buddha at the same time, just trying to make it across the border to go see Bree. I had this desire that I had to meet Bree. Who is this Bree? Who is this woman? Right? So anyways, I think along the path, the monk life here is that just seeing and you all will get to meet your brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, like how I'm gonna send you videos of what happened tonight. The school that Venerable Sarnapala had, these wonderful Sri Lankans and kids from Bangladesh, and they're all from different regions in that continent. And they are going to be the last generation that know about the Dhamma. And the way the delivery and transmission of Venerable Sarnapala into their mind, the programming of their mind, the precepts, the chants, they know the chants, they know the precepts, they honor their father and their mother. I mean, there was a sheet that they had to read off of. They had to follow along front and back. I mean, the entire process was like, he's literally cultivating an army of Dharma students to ensure safety, first and foremost, safety in our society, above all. And how if they are going to have children, then they're going to transmit that back to their children. So there's a somewhat guarantee of one more generation for you all to witness. Because, why is this important right now? Well, if you just turn on the news, recently we had a woman that grabbed her baby, refused to comply with police officers' commands, grabbed a knife half the size of my body, and decided to wanted to attack this officer. He discharged his weapon, killed the baby and the mother on Thanksgiving. I think it was on Thanksgiving. Or the time right now in the era, and at the time of this talk, the Thanksgiving holiday just passed. Just reflect on that. The amount of shootings every day does not decrease. The spread of hate increases. It's just our world is hectic. And I think everyone's vision right now is that we need more people to take the precepts. We need people to calm down, be at peace, be nice to each other, be kind. And for me to sit here, and I wish that I could transport you guys, holographically or something, to be here and to just look in the room. And when you look at these videos I send to your phones, look carefully at the attention that they give. And furthermore, some things were not recorded was when the kids performed the pujas and the danas. Of course, they bring the candle lights to the monk, and they drop to their knees and bow 3 times. Every single student would drop to their knees and bow 3 times to pay homage and respect to the triple gem in front of us. How beautiful that is. So again, a trip to Canada to see his school would be one on your bucket list. Just to experience it, just to come and just to sit and have this breathtaking view. People go to games and football shows, and they're like, oh my God, it's so nice, or this stadium is so big, and they all hoo and ha. That's not where the magic happens. The magic happens right here in Canada, in Toronto, at Venerable Sarnapala's Dharma school at the elementary, right here, 2 miles from here. I can walk there, but I'll freeze to death. So anyways, I want you guys to reflect on today's debrief on when this arrives to you by hand. It's so precious. I don't even want to send it. It's gonna require a signature. It's so precious. I want to send Secret Service agents down to give it to you by hand. It's so precious. I may not even want to send it. I may deliver it myself when Rinpoche gets here, because it cannot replicate. It cannot. In order for it to be signed again by and through his hands, you have to go hunt him down in New York. So anyway, but when you look at this book, I just want you guys to pat yourself in the back and reflect on unshakable faith and confidence to the Buddha, to the teachings of the Buddha, and the monastic order. This guy. And I followed the same guidelines, everything that my job was to replicate and try to prove this man wrong. And this man was not wrong. And it brought me to peace, and that's why all of us are here, so that we can follow the method that was replicated by real humans, living humans, empirical evidence, scientific proof that you too can transcend your suffering, and you too can be an arahant. And I just want that for everybody. And I have no doubt you all will get there. And I have no doubt that each and every time when we speak on the phone like this twice a week, that you guys are closer to it. And at the very least down the road, you will be skillful enough to transmit this back to your neighbors. And for those most in need, you guys will be the top 5%, 1% in the world, holding in your possession the treasures of the Dhamma. Could not be understated. Could not be understood. No different than the Book of Eli. If you just want to understand your worth, watch the Book of Eli, and you're the guy that has possession of the Bible in your mind. But in Buddhist sense, we have the teachings, we have the Four Noble Truths in our mind to be transmitted when the time is right. And just the book of Eli spoke volumes about the preciousness of teaching people how to live. That's it. The Bible, any Bible, is about teaching people how to live. And how valid and how it has withstand through time over and over again, the praise and the blame of different eras in humanity, different eras in history, where serve the poor, forgive, awaken the masses that is still sleeping. It's just like over and over again, every generation. Given said that, Jennifer's still in the room? There she is. Very good. Let's start with Miss Bree, because she's been absent. So Miss Bree, please debrief us on your week with your family.
Well, like I said before, it was nonstop stress for about 7 days straight. It was a very good event. I definitely wouldn't have missed it for anything. So basically what I got to do was, my sister was in the Air Force boot camp, and I got to watch her graduation. It's very interesting to be on base because I am stressed the entire time. I just feel like I'm getting yelled at because it's so structured. It's very structured. Her graduation was very structured. It was very cool to see her in that environment because she loves it. Then just being around my family for extended periods of time is very stressful because I've started to find out that I enjoy a much more slow and quiet lifestyle, and that is not theirs. So it was definitely, I was practicing a lot of CBT, making sure I was, remaining mindful of my actions and my words, and it was a good test to remember to stay mindful, even when you're very stressed.
The funny part is, you're not the only one that was going through holiday stress with family. My cousin, Professor Andy, which you guys got to meet, right? Probably not in person. One of these days I'm gonna drag him into our live. But so Andy is technically the prince of the family because his dad is the oldest in the Huang's family. Then his dad had him, the only child. Okay. Nobody else has children, and then it falls down on my dad. He's number 3 in the family, and you know, so Andy is technically the prince, if we want to look at hierarchical days of the Buddha type, you know, definition. So there is politics in the family right now that is ongoing, like it always has been. And it's always my dad too. Of course, it would be the military lieutenant officers, the intelligence, okay, the lieutenant within the intelligence unit that has backdoor politics in our lives right now, right? Of course, right? You know, and you know, and something slipped out, something got leaked. Okay, 'cause these ears still work just fine, and sometimes I think my parents still, you know, believe that they don't work for some reason. My wonderful satellite dishes here. Thank you for choosing Spectrum. Okay. And me and my cousin were debriefing on it, and I'm like, and then tonight the lay people, which I'll give you a group picture of the lay people that sat there with me, and they just want to know about me. And it's not the first time where lay people would do that, where I show up unannounced, a surprise visit or last minute, and then people are like, oh my God, that's Cheat Out. And then they're like, we like to take you out. It's not uncommon, you know. And then they just want to know about me. And I just want to know. And when you sit with me, a lot of things come out. Black and white. Uniform, transparent. You're going to get the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So they were talking about, well, how do you detach from your family? And I'm like, it's happening right now. It's still happening. This thing with my family is still going on. And I'm like, I've been a monk for 10 years. Maybe I need to be, maybe, you know, when they reach nirvana themselves is when I will finally have peace. You know, and my cousin is a professor, and we're like still dissecting this, and it's like, Andy, what's going on, Andy? I mean, so what can you do but laugh about it, right? So what can I do? So believe me, you are a lay person. I've been a monk for 10 years, still working through this. And I think my cousin and I have reached the conclusion that we're not going to address or confront anymore. You know, so I think we cousins, and only cousins in the Huang's family in the United States. There's a couple more in Vietnam, and there's 2 more in Australia. But I think we're slowly going to like back away from all of them and just pretend they don't even exist. Of which I've already did that, but they're still alive. So when they're still alive, they still generate this, and this is still moving. So don't worry, you're not the only one. And for all those who are watching around the world, you're not the only one. You know, still dealing with the BS. So
What I found like most interesting about this weekend is, so for whatever reason, whenever I get together with my family, that's the time they want to solve every world's problem going on. And I'll get to the point where, you know, I'll give some viewpoints, and then I'll just start practicing noble silence. And that makes them more angry. It makes them go off the deep end. Then they think I'm pouting. And that's just an interesting conversation in of itself. Like, you can't stay silent sometimes.
we have to be arahants. End of story. I am so tired. I am so exhausted from dealing with these types of humans. That all of us are witnessing, you know, and this particular lifetime, this era, this whatever this 2024 is, what is Earth? Why are we on Earth? Okay, this is why I'm still in robes and not, you know, disrobed and running around trying to find a wife, because I have to be an arahant. I cannot come back, not even one more time in the 4 stages of enlightenment. I just can't. You know, I don't know what's gonna happen if I come back one more time. It's gonna be one of them loud screams if I have to come back one more time. But it's exactly this. And the continuation of this that keeps us even more in determined, just sheer blue flames, fire in our hearts, the desire for enlightenment, period, end of story. And and literally, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna shut everything out. We call that disassociation, by the way. And I'm just back to reading and highlighting, and could not wait for the next time we call each other to discuss what's happening, which we will tonight, by the way, folks. It's not about me, moaning and crying and about my situation and everybody else's situation. But yeah, again, again, back to this. Always have been, always will be. And one day you're gonna have that light bulb, boop, and that's when you realize, oh yeah, I am this close of not coming back. This code not coming back. Yeah. So, join the Cool Kids Club, also known as the Arahant Club, when you get there. Okay. Now let's go to Jorge. Right? Enough of me doing this. All right, Mr. Jorge.
Yes.
Tell us what's been going on.
We just been setting up for Christmas today. Wow, that's a beautiful.
I'm just advertising, but yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we set up for Christmas today. We set up the lights outside. So we did the 4 poles in front of the canal there. So we set up candy canes. We have 2 children that live in the building. So we wanted to set up nice for here and the rest of the neighborhood. Kind of give everybody a cheer. We've had a pretty rough year with Debbie and her husband Milton coming over here and visiting us over the hurricane season. So we wanted to give them a different outlook. And today, that's pretty much it. We decided that we were not gonna. Well, we ate once today, and but we did not continue to the next dawn because we actually ended up eating afternoon. So we will be back at the 8th precepts on the full moon coming up. On December 15th is the full moon. So we have done it before. We've done it where we haven't ate the whole day, where we haven't beautified the body, which can be challenging for females because the makeup and everything. But that's pretty much it. That's what we did today. We were aware, as far as that we were gonna consciously not continue the precepts and we would do it again. We would be better prepared. Because today we were working on Christmas lights and we had Christmas carols playing, so we forgot. So there was a little bit of back and forth. But other than that, that's it. We've been today we didn't do CBT, but we definitely have been at it.
Okay, that's fine.
We got past chapter 4.
Okay, good. It's all right. So no stress, huh? Right? No stress.
No stress. No, actually, the CBT helps because you're able to catch those errors before they go. So before it gets to the second, like I like to call it, the way I look at it is the different levels, kind of like in a video game. So the first level is if you already start with the catastrophizing and the fortune telling, and I'm just naming a few. I'm not naming those because they're just whatever. No, those are specific ones that I am aware of and that I actually actively work on: catastrophizing, mental filtering, crystal ball gazing or fortune telling, and disquieting the positive. That's another one that I deal with that I turn to surface a lot. Overgeneralizing, which is everybody. So I mean, they have helped me because if you go to the second level, which would be where you follow the original thought, that's it. It's pretty much easier to get to every level from there on. And then before you know it, you're stuck in the rut of negative thinking or this same pattern thinking that keeps you emotionally down. So I find that CBT helps me a lot because I'm able to catch it before it even gets to. In other words, before I get worked up over it, it's just the one. Oh, this is. I mean, and it's so beautiful because you'll be oh, that's crystal. You'll go into this daydream of this scenario that you just imagined. You just like how do I say, like fabricated from your own fears, basically. And it's like, oh yeah, no, I'm crystal ball gazing. That does not reflect reality. That's it. And then the other thing is like, I've been writing down, yeah, a lot of them are wrong. So a lot of the crystal ball gazing is wrong. Like, in other words, it's not what I thought it was. Well, one or two might get in there, but pretty much they're all wrong. You know. So the CBT has helped me a lot applying it daily, because I'm able to not have those thinking errors. And actually, every day has been way better. Like every day, on that level, as far as psychological, clinical, yeah, it's getting easier for me to catch the errors, and then every day I feel better, because I no longer have that cloud over me that would, feed itself of negative energy. And then I realized that is something. Like, I found that there was like times where my body would almost like my mind and body combined would want these things. Like they would feel weird not fighting. Like, what is it like not to be angry? Yeah. You have to go through these phases. Like, what is it like not to be angry? Like, and you have to get used to that, because you're so used to that, whatever's going on psychophysiologically, with the hormones rushing down and you're getting angry, and what do you call it? Adrenaline rushing down, and whatever the physical response that your brain spits out. And then for me, I found that's definitely reality. In other words, that thinking contributes to how you feel, and then also too what you eat. And obviously, what you eat is how you feel, because if you don't really think highly of yourself, you're gonna eat like crap, because you're gonna like play that pity pot thing where I'm gonna eat what I want. Who cares about me? That basically I'm gonna kill myself like in a different way, because I'm too I don't want to do it the other way. Like, sometimes psychologically people can go through that. I mean, I know I've been through it in the past. So that's how I've been applying it, and it's definitely helped me tremendous. I feel better. I can make better decisions. So that's another great thing for me, because I don't have to always feel in doubt. And I mean, obviously with my studies in Buddhism, doubt is always something that I always watch out for. Because of the Hiranota vow, like, the having a restraint on things. Like, if there's doubt, and you're not supposed to do it, don't do it.
You're a lot more slower in your speech and a lot more coherent.
Hey.
Your speed of your thoughts have slowed down a lot, so it's proving that it's working. It's proving that CBT is working, and my instructions to you is no different than a doctor writing a prescription and you following that direction with the prescription carefully. And Good. You and former Venerable Lee, are successes. Venerable Lee is now licensed officer in the state of Florida. So he's past the background check and everything. He's out there wearing a gun on his leg, and he's serving our community. I've seen him in uniform, and I'm like, oh, dang, that boy looked like SWAT. I'll send you guys a picture. Don't worry. From a monk to an officer. However, I also need to interject this, because you both got to see Alex, right? And buying through my intervention with Alex did not prove to be effective, because he's 21. So Alex is probably gonna learn the hard way. So, and that's why sometimes I drag them in, so you guys can see real life humans and how things could change quickly when they hang out with the wrong crowd. And sometimes I can reach them, and sometimes I can't. And buying through my questioning with Alex, I'm like, well, who are you afraid of? He does have parents, by the way, biological parents that he stays with. And I'm like, who are you afraid of? He says, no one. And I've been in the home, and there's a Buddha statue in the home, but they don't know what that Buddha statue means. A lot of people have Buddha statues in the home. They don't know what it means. And so, wrong path, no leadership. Did not take the refuge, do not know what the precepts are. So, either he's going to be on the deportation list, or he's going to taste American law. He's going to taste American criminal law. That's some of the things they say, and they don't catch the dangers in what they're saying, because their thoughts produce what they said. And I saw the dangers in it, and they just, back on TikTok, they say things that just comes out, back on TikTok, the teacher's right there giving them instructions on how to live, and they're just back on TikTok. So back to their old ways. But anyway, so I'm very proud of you, very proud of people who are in this program, and watching you guys grow. And yeah, CBT humbles you. It humbles your mind when you see you doing it. It like it calls you out. It's funny, like the book doesn't even talk. It like calls you out, and you're like, excuse you, who do you think you're talking to exactly? Um, and then it humbles yourself because now someone has shined a light on you. It's like, because your mind will start tripping, and then no one's catching it, and then you learn CBT, and that's when it's like, oh, I've been doing this the whole time. When you feel seen, you stop doing it. It's no different than children playing in a dark room, and you come by the room and you hit that light, and they're like, right? And then they stop acting a fool. So CBT did that. It did that to me, and I think that it's taking the same effect for you guys. If you allow the book to do what it's doing, the book will humble your mind, and it kind of like casts light instantly onto the nature of your mind. Now this will help you. This will gradually help you all into Buddhism, because CBT is a lighter explanation of the 5 hindrances. So when we go into the hindrances, you can use CBT to explain what the Buddha meant by what's fueling your anger. Again, if you ever trace anger, it was mental filtering. Blowing things out of proportion causes anger. Jumping to conclusion without evidence leads to anger. Without evidence leads to anger. And it happens so quick, and you realize, and at that moment you realize, I'm doing something that is unwholesome right now, and I am generating negative karma right now. If I don't knock it off, I'm definitely gonna come back 7 more times paying Florida Power and Spectrum and the landlord. Yeah, we call that rebirth. So Kristen says, because hold on, Kristen, I gotta talk for Kristen because Kristen's only texting. So Kristen says, valid, Bree. Well, we will all get through it, okay? And Kristen says, agreed. Just a little bit of doing CBT is helping me for sure, especially in the current moment here at my relatives. I swear, I wanted to give a talk on Thanksgiving about this, and I just did not have enough time. It was hectic flying out. I'm wearing summer robes in like -0, whatever is going on out there. So, but I wanted to give I wanted to give a talk on Thanksgiving because I know that a lot of people around there were having family issues. They're not feeling loved. And I just wanted to show up, and I just wanted to say, I love you. I love every single one of you. Why do you think I'm celebrating my own Lion's Roar under this school? Because I've loved you all for 10 years. For 10 years, all I did was woke up and think about every single one of you. But people don't know that. People don't know that. They're like, you got to say it that way. I had to say it that way. And I'm like, I will hold you. And I have. Monks are not allowed to give women hugs. I've given women hugs before because no one will hug them. You never know what just happened to them in their life. I've had women come up to me and they're like, my son took his life months ago and cried in front of me. And there's other senior teachers, I'm like, why did you come to me? I don't know. A monk's job is to heal people. And of course the precept's there to protect us, but I just wanted to show up on Thanksgiving, and I guess it's not too late to say it now, but I love every human out there because it is tough and it's very traumatic. It just takes so long to heal as humans. And it breaks my heart to meet people at different stages, including tonight. Certain people, who are still going through it with their family. And I have to keep it together, but internally I cry. Internally, you could see my heart. It's bleeding and it's crying. The heart's crying with tears, salty tears down my heart, inside of my body, because I'm just like, okay, well, we'll have me back in Canada and we'll get through this. So they're gonna talk about it, and we'll be back in Canada. We'll be over there in Virginia for Bree and everybody else, and I'm gonna kidnap both of you couples sitting together right there to come with me. So Venerable's gonna need some bodyguards coming with him. So very good. Just keep at it with the CBT. All right. Clearly, you see Kristen here telling you guys that it's helping her a lot, and it's my job to enforce it because I know that it works. It's the only time that this doctor is going to tell you, no, I'm going to make sure you take this pill. I'm going to count the bottle and make sure you take the CBT pill. So, so we will now move into, yes, it does. Yes, it does. There's nothing worse than doing this for 10 years as a monk and realizing I chose the wrong therapy. And do you have any idea how many therapies are out there?
No, it's a ton.
Go to psychologytoday.com, pick 5 therapists, and look at their profile. And usually every therapist has got like at least 30 therapies that they know and deploy.
Wow.
And you just look at 30 and and then now you look at the teacher and you're like, well, he definitely hit the right one, because 1 out of 30, he could have gotten it wrong. He could have said dialectical behavior therapy. He could have said mode deactivation therapy. He could have said eclectic therapy. He could have said art therapy, but he didn't. He said CBT, and he wasn't wrong for 10 years. And then there are authors, the latest white book that was sent in, right? And we have authors out there merging Buddhism and CBT together, so they're proving me right. we have authors that don't even know me that's proving me right. So over and over again. Very good. Let us jump into the life of the Buddha. Miss Bree, are you ready? Bree's just like she's shocked.
I wasn't able to get very far because of the family. But I did have that one question from, probably the Thursday before I left, if we want to go back to that.
Kristen, able to hit, I love it. So see, my book's got like markings in it. And every time when you guys tell me go to a page and it's got markings on it, I know you hit the jackpot. Well, you hit the jackpot and bingo without knowing you hit bingo. So it gets my gears grinding when you guys are like, I have a question on page 68. And I'm like, yeah, I marked it. So it's going to be a good one. All right. So go ahead.
Hopefully it's the one you marked it. It was page 145. And it's the paragraph at the bottom. And I just wanted a little bit more clarification on what was being said.
Hey, Bree. You hit the jackpot.
I was reading that one over and over again. I was like, oh, man, these are some big words that are being used. So I just wanted a little more. I can just read over the part that I had some confusion on. That works.
Okay.
So it starts with, thus far do I understand your reach and sway to extend, yet there are 3 other main bodies of Brahma gods, which you neither know nor see, and which I know and see. There is the body called Abhasara of streaming radiance, whence you passed away and reappeared here, but with long dwelling here your memory of it has lapsed, and so you no more know or see it, but I know and see it. Standing thus as I do, not on the same level of direct knowledge as you, it is not less that I know, but more. And likewise with the still higher bodies of the Subhakina of refulgent glory, and the Vihapahala of great fruit. Now Brahma, having had direct knowledge of earth as earth, and having had direct knowledge of what is not coessential with the earthness of earth, I did not claim to be earth. Did not claim to be in earth. I did not claim to be apart from earth. I did not claim earth to be mine. I made no affirmation about earth, having had direct knowledge of water as water, of fire, air, beings, gods, Pajapati, Brahma, the Abhasara, the Subhakina, Vihapala, the transcendent being, having had direct knowledge of all as all, and having had direct knowledge of what is not coessential with the allness of all, I did not claim to be all. I did not claim to be in all. I did not claim to be apart from all. I did not claim all to be mine. I made no affirmation about all. Standing thus, too, as I do, it is not less that I know, but more. So, that was a lot. But it's like from that, those two sections, and there's a little bit more on the other page. It kind of goes, good sir, if you claim to have access to what is not coessential with the allness of all, may you not be proved vain and empty. The consciousness that makes no showing, nor has to do with finiteness, claiming no being apart from all. So the first part of the question I had is the second part, specifically the second big paragraph on page 145, is the Buddha kind of expressing to Brahma that he's never claimed to be a god, and that shouldn't be misunderstood.
Sounds to me. Let me reflect for a second. On my laptop, Apasara of streaming radiance, of refulgent glory. That, I think, these two probably touches Buddhist cosmology. I think, because it's obviously not. It's not in the regular text that I've gone through. So I'm thinking that, you know.
It kind of, like, when I was reading it, it did sound like in parts he was describing to the Brahma what happens, you know, when he dies and is reborn, that he isn't aware of, that the Buddha is, because he has that ability also. So I think you're right that might be in some cosmology stuff.
Yeah. This paragraph is hard to explain to you guys, because other than the Buddha obviously is not attached to anything and he sees things as they are. The earth element for earth element, water is for water, fire, fire, you know. When you look at the 9 qualities of the Buddha, this actually touches that 9 qualities of the Buddha, the knower of the world. And this section should be reserved. I mean, this book is written the way that it is written, but this should be reserved down the road a little bit. You get what I'm saying? Because you guys are beginners into this, and this just like comes out of nowhere. Like, whoa, what's happening here? But again,
there's a little bit of poetry there too.
Yeah,
so it was hard to.
He's not attached to the world. He sees things as they are. You know, he's just a visitor on Earth, just flying by, and he's trying to make a case with this Brahma guy. So just leave it as that. Don't think too much, and don't look up the refulgent glory. Wait till later, and then we can go into that. But again, this constitutes the 9 qualities of the Buddha. This gives you insight into the qualities of the Buddha, how he was this great master that was reborn countless of times, knows causes and conditions, knows where you're going to go after you die, knows your rebirth, know what you were previously reborn, knows what caused your rebirth, knows why you're here. So again, you know, it's like trying to dispute with him. You really can't, you know what I mean? And once again, none of us have died yet, so we don't know where we're going to go. Right? So, and I don't know with this Brahma guy, who he is and why this had to go this deep with this guy. So again, the Buddha is addressing with somebody who is, you know, this is 2,600 years ago. Every time when I translate something like this to you guys, or, you know, trying to distill this to you guys, I'm trying to look for the most clinical explanation that we can use in modern day.
Mm.
And again, no one's dead yet, so I can't tell you what realm you're gonna go.
What parts did you highlight? Because I did see some highlighting.
Well, for further research, the streaming radiance, the refulgent glory, the
Okay.
transcendent being, Apipu. There's a lot of names in here. No different than the Bible. No different than the Christian Bible. It's like this person's name and that person's name, and then this person changed name into this person. So I'm not concerned about that because it has no clinical benefits right now for you guys. Okay.
Okay.
So again, this is more philosophical and needs to be gone back again. Again, this book right now, we're just looking for the clinical aspects of it, and eventually down the road, you guys are going to go back and investigate what you highlighted, so that you can dive deeper into this stuff.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense.
This is reference. This is all reference. Right now, we're focusing on the clinical aspect and not, start looking things up because it'll be a waste of time for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so then carrying on kind of like what you were, I was reflecting on this a little bit during my trip, not really sure why, but you brought up death and everything, and I was curious, so like growing up in my family, death has a lot of ceremony to it that I grew up around, and like revisiting grave sites and stuff like that. And I was curious of what a Buddhist perspective on that is, since we don't view a soul as a soul, and who knows what happens after you die. Is there like the concept of visiting graves and funerals and things like that?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it right now. I just need my water.
Perfect.
I have my water.
Stay hydrated.
All right, so based upon my studies of ghosts, they're real, and based upon their attachment to this world, they linger around here, now, like right now, here. What proof do I have? Well, a lot of stories and a lot of energy in the rooms that I have felt where I have been. So the late funeral of Miss Mi Huynh, M-Y, last name Huynh. She used to hang out at her daughter's hot nail salon in Nokomis. And the daughters, once again, at the time of them reporting to me, they were not under the influence of drug or alcohol or prescription medication. They have been found not to be incompetent. They have found not to be delusional. They have not found to be schizophrenic. And they told me, we're out here doing nails, and things would move on the table.
Oh.
Okay? Chairs would move. Little things that they use for nails would move. And she used to be there. That means she has attachment to where she sat the most and the longest watching her daughters. Okay? There was a retired canine, I don't think he was a sergeant. I think he was just a canine unit, but he did like 30 years with the Sarasota Police Department, and at the time that I met him, he was working at 511 apparel store. And he told me one time he went and did an area check at a barn that burned down, and his headlights were shined towards the barn's area, the road, and he saw two ghosts sitting there. And it was indicative of the grandfather and the grandchild that spent a lot of time at the barn, and they were there. Then, most recently, the Battle of Gettysburg, and I think this is up in Virginia, right?
Gettysburg is in Pennsylvania, I think.
Okay, Pennsylvania, where the cannons were, and somebody drove by and took a video of these ghosts.
Yeah, I saw that video.
Running away from the cannons into the road, running away. So that tells me that those ghosts, the hungry ghost realm that the Buddha described, they didn't want to die. And in Vietnamese, there's this terminology called Jet Oang. Jet is die, Oang is their life taken by surprise, and they did not want to die. And so these individuals didn't want to die, so they had attachment to existing, which is what the Buddha described: the attachment to wanting to exist and an attachment non-existing, not wanting to exist. We call that suicide. Um, and so yeah, the hungry ghost realm is real. They're literally running around. They're literally in walls, outside of walls, in this room with me, in your room, or if they've killed, or if they have been killed in a residence and they have attachment to that residence, they will haunt the person that is in the residence. My mom used to work for Dr. Angela Myers, a wonderful, prominent ophthalmologist in St. Petersburg. One day my mom says there's a gun underneath the bed of Miss Angela Myers' bed. And I was a 10-year-old kid, immigrated to America, wanting to know what this gun looked like. So I wandered into the hallway. Oh, hell. The energy of that hallway stopped me. It stopped a 10-year-old curious boy. Yes, Venerable Sir. Yes, I'm well. I'm at the hotel. Oh no. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah. Yeah, I knew how busy you are naturally every day. So I choreographed everything so that it's high speed and efficient for you. The lay people took me out to Panera Bread, and I said I don't want to burden the most venerable and his office. That's why I stay at a hotel and not not running around the temple 10 o'clock at night trying to look for water. But thank you for having me. It was wishes fulfilled for me. My wishes have been fulfilled. I think a lot of us wishes have been fulfilled by visiting and seeing Bhikkhu Bodhi. Yes. I hope to see you again. The lay people want to organize for me to come and see them and give teachings. Yes. Yes. At 7 a.m., sir. I have to be at the airport by 5 a.m. Yes. Yes. Yeah, because you just gave a talk to 2,000 police officers here, and I have to go back to serving the court system in Florida, so that's why I have to go back quite fairly quick. Yes. 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 I'm live right now on all of my platforms, and I told my closest students to try to make it up here. To all of us wants to come back here to see you and your Dhamma school, to be inspired by all of the children that you have cultivated and developing right now. It's very I just can't tell you the magnitude of the impact looking at these children reciting the refuge. Um, and just the amazing work that you're doing. You to us are the you are the second Bhikkhu Bodhi. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes, sir. Yes. Yes, I'll see you next Monday on the biweekly. Yeah, you have more energy than I do. Look at, I mean, you. I should be concerned about you instead of you concerned about me. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful night. Yeah, thank you for calling me. Okay. Take care. Bye bye. That would be Venerable Saranapala, and I thought I was in trouble. I was like, did I say something wrong on my live?
He just wanted to make sure you weren't freezing to death in Canada.
Yeah, he was like everything. He had to attend to someone passing away right after Big Bodie's event. So, it happens. Life of a monk. I mean, what do you expect? So yeah, he's really nice. To check in, and say thank you because it was hectic. We had to be out by like 7:30. Hold on, 4 to 5:30. We had to be out by 5:30, and people were still lingering around, and it was just so hectic. You can see all of this happening too. When I published the video, I'm in the background trying to take the ropes out. I had to put extra ribbons on the ropes because some of the hold on, hold on. Where is it? It looks like this. This is my backup winter ropes that I did not want to open. So the fact that I'm holding this and it's unopened tells you that I endured the cold. I could have opened this and used it as a blanket out there, and I didn't. That's how conservative I am, right? And following the rules for monks. This is how you know. So some of the packages don't look as nice, and I had to put additional ribbons on it, and it just looks nicer with a bunch of ribbons. It's like, oh my God, wow, Mercedes Benz. So I was doing that in the background, and then Venerable Sarnapala came up, and I had to quickly tell him, hey, we should grab a picture together with him, and so 30 seconds. Everything was 30 seconds. So. Everything that you guys see me send to you guys is like 30 seconds. Do it now, forever hold your peace. Okay, where was that? Back to the ghost thing.
Yes.
So whatever this ghost was in there, it hung out in that hallway of Dr. Angela Myers. Okay, I have reason to believe that ghost killed her father, and that ghost also killed her. Okay, that's what I believe, and solely my opinion and professional opinion and how I feel about it because of how I felt. Now, what proof do I have that this ghost killed people and other ghosts killed people? Because my best friend Jacob Hall, same. It's the hallway, the room in the back, and his dresser, not dresser, but closet. And I told everyone this over and over again. At the time that I spent time with Jacob, I was under the capacity of a supervisory security officer. So I was armed at that time. And when I came over to Jacob's house and I needed to spend the night, because there were nights where I was exhausted, I'm like, Jacob, I need to spend the night. Can you please scoot over? And I slept on his bed. And I slept on his bed with my gun looking at that closet. It's an empty closet, but I felt something is looking at me. And guess what? Years later, Jacob died in that room with the door locked. His mother had to kick in the door and found a bag over his head. So, oh, I'm sorry. Maybe I should not share that very intimate detail. Oops. It was an accidental death, but it's not Jacob to do that because Jacob was a 21-year-old pilot and he could fix boats, cars, and planes. I find it difficult to believe I hung out with him for so long, knowing him quite intimately. Why would an intelligent kid put a bag over his head and lock the door and was found unconscious on the floor? Okay, and how I felt in that house, how I felt in that room. I felt so unsafe that I couldn't even take off my gear to sleep. I did not like that hallway. My uncle's, same thing, in the bathroom hallway. There was a presence in the bathroom hallway. And then my aunt died of brain cancer. So my point is, ghosts are real. You need to let go before you die. If you have attachment to people, places, and things, that's why I say the things that I say. Let go of people, places, and things. I didn't say just let go of people, places, and things because I've already formulated all of this. I've already gathered enough evidence to justify the words that I'm using for all of you. Yeah, and in Vietnam too. When I was in my younger days, perhaps in my 20s, and I drove my motorcycle. So in Vietnam, when people die on the road, a lot of people die on the road actually because they're so reckless. Drive wrong side of the road, they get run over by trucks all the time. People get hit by trucks like potato chips falling off of potato chip bags. Um, and police would like draw white lines underneath. And when you pass by these roads, you instantly feel sad.
Mm.
Why? Because the ghost is still hanging around there, and they're like, "Dude, we died here." They're trying to tell you, "We died here," and so you feel that. You literally drove past the ghost, and the ghosts, like their shape or form, is passing through your consciousness. So you feel it, and it has a lasting feeling, literally a lasting, like 15 minutes to hours. I know what I felt. Remember Maya Angelou says, I can forget what you said or did, but I'll never forget the way how you make me feel. And I would hope to strike all of you across the world listening that I'm a conscious, aware, alert human going through life, paying attention to things and how it made me feel. Right? Um, so have a lot of respect for ghosts because I know they're real. I know they're real, and don't be one of them. Don't. Oh, and by the way, Vietnam has a particular noticing of people who are murdered and they cannot find the murderer, and then years down the road, the murderers go and turn themselves in. Why? And the Vietnamese people they say, tại vì ma nó nhập và nó ám. So it means that the ghost um, infiltrates into their consciousness. So in Buddhism we say consciousness. In lay people's term, the ghost infiltrate into their soul, causing guilt for them to confess. Vietnamese people, once again, I would hope to strike the whole world that Vietnamese people are smart, intelligent, and wise, and that we're not delusional and that we're not crazy. And based upon the reports of the masses of the crowd, that it is true and accurate, and it held up for hundreds and thousands of years now about ghosts.
I'm actually, it's funny that you bring that up because part of my journey with my family was that we got a flat halfway between Texas and North Carolina, and so we had to stop by a Walmart to fix it. And I was just wandering Walmart while my parents were working with the shop, and I came across the missing persons board that's always in Walmart. And I was like, I felt very calm and, just present when I walked up to that board. But the moment I walked up to that board and I was looking at that board, I got like this very intense physical sadness that actually like had me choking up. And the first thought that immediately came to mind is that the families of those kids, life is over. They don't have Thanksgiving, they don't have Christmases, they don't have birthdays until that loved one is returned. And I just remember having such an intense feeling, and then when I left, it was gone. But I was like, either I was just really emotionally tired, or that was like something was there, standing around that board.
Yeah, the other thing I forgot to share with you all that I previously shared publicly was when, after my grandmother died, she rebirthed into a lizard. And that night, coming back from Northside Hospital on our blue couch, there's a lizard there. And I'm like, okay. And it would not leave. And I grew up hunting lizards, so I'm not afraid of them. And I grew up, just hunting lizards, that's so. The lights flickered inside of my parents' room. And I think 2 mornings after that, there was like a woman, a ghost, a white ghost went from the outside of the condo, at the mobile home, and I'm like, I know what I saw. The hell. So my mom has attachment to my grandmother. My mom seen my grandmother in her dreams recently, I, however, still had a little bit of anger that my grandmother left me a little quick. I still have that anger now. And I think she knows that, so she doesn't appear to me. Likewise, I had a brother named Dat, D-A-T. My mom had a miscarriage. So words has it that this brother of mine, this unborn brother of mine, has been watching over me like an angel. Now, in American sense, we've heard other people describe how, yeah, an angel watches over her or him. We've heard that before. Common, whatever hearsay out there that we've heard from society. But I've been in 13 car accidents. Yes, I drove like an idiot. 13 cars. That's why I'm not Florida Highway Patrol. Because when I went and applied, Captain George Carter says, you want to give people speeding tickets? You got 3 pages yourself. So why don't you try back in 3 years, kid? Okay? But you see, all of the cars were totaled. I remember one of them very vividly on Gandhi. T-Bone. You look at some of these pictures of the cars that I totaled, there's no way someone can survive it. And I survived it with just disc herniations. Okay? So obviously, my brother was there watching over me. I mean, who else? Who? Davis? Who knows? So yeah, these are some of the evidence I've gathered throughout my entire life of ghosts, because I think everyone has a fear of them, and everyone wants to know whether or not they're real or not. And if you just pay close attention in your life, you may just gather the conglomerate and groups of feelings and circumstances that present itself, and you draw your own conclusions, and you realize that, yeah, and again, these people volunteer these information in public, and where I meet them, and I study psychology, very alert about whether a person is under the influence of drug or alcohol, delusional, incompetent, have mental disabilities, or if they're tripping on LSD or shrooms telling me these stories. And they were not, none of them were at the time of such report. So, what I'm trying to say is I'm a trained investigator.
You should join one of those ghost hunting YouTube channels. I
No.
think it'd be interesting having a Buddhist do it.
No. And right now I need you to pretend like you see me running down the hallway screaming like a girl.
Sometimes I get caught up in those during Halloween and I find them fascinating.
And I've also challenged myself going to the cemetery. And I mean, Jorge, who's sitting right here, former novice, I had him lay down and practice death meditation. I had to do my job. I had to do my job and show the world that I'm doing my job as a teacher. So Lee and Jorge lay down, But at night, I would go out in the cemetery and dare these ghosts. In my head, I'm like, go ahead, try me. None of them ever did. None of them ever. They know I was out there trying them because I have this intention. Go ahead, try me. None of them ever appeared themselves in the dark. And in Laos, like I told you in Laos, at Wat Don Du, the novices sleep here. And right outside the novices' quarters is the crematory. They cremate so many bodies. It's not even funny. I'm telling you, don't make no enemies in Laos, because your body will be gone. And your body will most likely wind up at a monastery in ashes, because there's so many ashes in there. So I went out, I recorded it live. It's all live, it's all in my history. And I was just like, come on, somebody try me, please try me. They wouldn't do it, because it's bad karma. Because look at how I've lived my life as a holy man, as much of a saint as possible. And it's like, you really gonna try a potential and likely chance he's a saint? Go ahead. You must love the hell realm. Go ahead, try cheat out. You know what I mean? But I know what I did right, and I also know what I did wrong. But I just wanted to test the holiness of my being out there. Because obviously, if I was not holy, or as holy as it's ever gonna get as a human, these ghosts would be like, oh, let's go play with him. Let's scare the crap out of him and have him actually run and scream like a girl down the street. Yeah. So, but the Buddha did this, he would meditate at cemeteries, in other countries, we face fear head on. We face the dark head on. We face Mara head on. And we challenge ourselves, the brave and the courage of our consciousness, of our hearts. And I think that's what also keeps the monk holy, is that yeah, if you're weak in your morality, your sila samadhi panya, if you're weak in your morality, you're prone to these infiltrations that will penetrate your heart for the worst, not for the better. So, I hope that answers that. That was a pretty long answer.
No, that definitely did, because I was always curious of if Buddhists had, because again, like I said, I watch those ghost videos during Halloween and stuff like that, and you know they get really into it. And I always wondered if like Buddhists had a perspective of it, but hungry ghosts make sense to me. So that definitely answers the question.
And it's really sad when you think about it. I mean, because I can't take my brain and put it in your brain and know what I'm thinking or feeling, but it's really sad when I reflect on the people who have been killed by passion, burned to death, arsons, like just the manner of death. No different than Bhikkhu Bodhi teaching death meditation. Where will I die? How will I die? When will I die? When, how, where? Once again, the how. The how scares the hell out of people. And you know, I'm just like, when we did the dedication of the merits, which we just did, you know, Aka Satha Japumata Dewa Nagam Punyang no Anumodan Tuchirang Rakan Tu no Sara Tunya Tayo. We're dedicating, we're also bringing up the Mahayana order too. You know, Gile, go home, CO space HON. Like they respect and they bring to the table awareness of the ghost realm. And they offer like food to the ghost realm. They're like, we just want to let you know today's your day and we're celebrating you. You know, it's kind of like the Mexican holiday. What is it? What's the Mexican holiday?
Are you talking El Dia de los Muertos?
Yeah, the Day of the Dead. Is. Why do you think people do that? Why do you think different cultures do that? Because they felt something. There was a presence here, and you year after year, there's multiple presences, and you know, ghosts chasing after people, scaring the crap out of people. They're gonna be like, okay, maybe we should really respect them now and not piss them off. You know, so you know, just again, if you study anthropology, history, and culture across cultures of death, I mean, which is a field of study, you're gonna get collected stories of so many reports of it, and you realize, yeah, don't mess with them. They'll drive you crazy. They'll drive you to your own death. Yeah, sure will.
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry, I didn't mean to scare people tonight. I'm sorry. I'm just being honest. You know, it's like at night, it's like 10 o'clock at night, and people are trying to sleep, and they're like, "Oh, wow, don't tune into his live no more."
I'm gonna be dreaming of ghosts now.
Yeah.
I think it's an important conversation to have though, because like my parents, they've been aging, you know, as they get older, and I find their conversations with one another would need to be more aware of their impermanence than it used to be. And I think it's, you know, I think most people as they age come to that clarification that you're not actually immortal and there is an end day. And you may not have thought about it when you were in your 20s and your 30s, but now you're starting to think about it. And so it's been interesting listening to my parents kind of change the way they talk.
Yeah. It's just unfortunate. Some people will get it, some people don't. You know, and I don't know what's gonna wake them up. I mean, including my own family. I mean, I've been in ropes for 10 years. The color of death in and out of the house, the color of death in and out of, you know, hospitals and stuff like that. And they still don't get it. They're still causing suffering to each other and to me and to my cousins. So it's like, well, keep going, dude. You're just racking up karmic rap sheets. You know? It's like...
That's why the Buddha says ignorance, because they just don't know. They're acting on the principle of ignorance. Like, they have that clouded vision, and this is the issue, because they have wrong view. When you have wrong view, that's it. That's why it starts with right view.
And I can't put any more effort into trying to liberate my own family because I'm just exhausted. You know, it doesn't bring me happiness. And everyone is responsible for their own. The teaching's been there 2,500 years ago. You know, people who are not awakened to this teaching, you played a little too long, you have played a little too hard. You know, God, Buddha, Allah, Vishnu, all the gods will stand here and tell you that. You played a little too long, you played a little too hard, and you will reap the consequences. That's it. End of story. End of story. You know, it's no different than American law. We publish the law book every year. You know, the Constitution is online. Florida legislative online. Everything online. You chose to carry a gun. You chose to carry a gun without knowing the law. You discharged this weapon in an, unlawful manner. Whatever the case may be. Then when we get to judgment day, the judge will be like, so how many clubs have you been to, huh? How many drinks have you taken in your life? How many joints have you rolled? Yeah, great. I'm glad you enjoyed all of them. Because, you made this mistake, and it indicates to me that you played a little too long and a little too hard. You never opened up the law book. You never cared about if you were going to carry a gun. You should have looked up the law on carrying a gun. So now, well, 5 years down the road, up the road, actually. So, deputies take the defendant into custody. 5 years without the possibility of parole. So the Lord Death will do that. You know what I mean? Everyone's, why do you, these people tonight that took me out, just respect, giving, just everything that the Buddhists should do, they did out of wise fear for the afterlife and wise fear for the workings of karma, and the guideline says give to those who are deserving of gifts. Give to those who are living out the holy life. Because if you give to John, Tom, Dick, and Harry down the road who's asking for money, they're gonna flip it around and do unholy things with that money, or or you give them a sandwich, they take the calories from the sandwich and go out and snort drugs or shoot up. Like, why do we give to monks? Why do we give to holy men? Well, what do you think we're gonna do with the money? What do you think we're gonna do with the food that you're offering? We eat it, we teach. We eat it, we teach. The nurturing of the body. And tonight, when I gave the blessing, I said, may the food that we digest. I was very clinical. May the food that we digest tonight and the calories that we receive from the food, that we dedicate our body, speech, and mind for the benefit of others. That's it. No different than Jorge sitting in the table hearing that a dozen times. So, but anyway, I'm sorry. Any follow-up questions from Jennifer or Jorge? Jennifer, you're new to this Dharma stuff, so.
No, I mean, the ghost stuff is, I just always ask, like, when you encounter those people, you gotta ask them, like, what are you really looking for? Like, okay, let's follow that through the end. Let's follow that to the end. Okay, ghosts exist. Now what?
Oh.
Where do we go from there?
I forgot.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, like, we could tell them, like, okay, now what? They exist. Now what?
I forgot a sentence in the teachings of giving. The quality of your thoughts at the time of giving determines the exponential amount of merits you receive. I forgot that. And it is giving without expectations in return. That is what constitutes a gift. When you give something without expectation of anything in return, that is a true and real gift. So, yeah, anyways, when I give talks on Dana, I forgot that. That, again, the quality of your intention at the time of giving that gift. And, again, when I gave Bhikkhu Bodhi and Venerable Sanapala the robes tonight, was in my head, I'm like, may they stay in robes as long as possible so we all can learn from them. Yeah, and I just hope and wish this abundant of wish and hope that they will continue serving all of us and be there, and that their mind and body is intact, conscious, aware, alert, breathing normally, so that they can continue to give us the Dhamma, the key and the answers for us to liberate our suffering, and join the Arahantship Club. Yeah.
Yeah.
Question. At the beginning, I just wanted to say that, what's really helped Jorge and I is that we wrote down, or he typed out the definitions of each of the thinking errors, so that, you know, having that kind of on the wall, it really helps us identify which critical thinking error it is. And I think that that has been really you know, a key cheat.
We have it on the mirror.
You know, because it just reminds us right away. So yeah, putting that mindfulness into perspective has been very, very helpful. Thank you so much for the gifts in the Jorge's book, and I know he just lives and breathes and it has Four Noble Truths, and, you know, he's always trying to make a new logo or something. So he really believes in that, and yeah. And we had a good day today. I mean, they always say if you want to get to know somebody, do a project with them. So hanging the Christmas lights together and seeing how we can agree or, you know, agree to disagree. Actually, we functioned pretty well together. So that was a positive. Yeah, I guess my only question about the rebirth kind of is that, well, in hindsight, recently, my parents passed away about a year ago. But I had a dream with my mom, and it was so strange because I was actually sitting on her lap, but I was telling her about, you know, lessons about the Buddha and rebirth. And I don't know, it was, Jorge knows, he could probably tell you better. But either way, I was sitting on her lap and telling her, like, some of the teachings, you know, or words of wisdom. So it was really strange. But so I just believe, you know, I believe that they are looking out for us, and that they are there. My mother, of course, she had a stillborn as well. But my question is, I've heard a little like NDEs or near-death experiences, and how like somebody will die in whatever situation they're in, and then another soul can jump into their soul. I'm like, how could that even be if they don't have a soul in the first place? So I don't know. Have you heard anything about this NDE or near-death experience?
I have, but I've never heard about a soul replacing an existing leaving soul. So
Yeah.
that's strange to me. So first of all, let's define soul. American. Oh, but by the way, Bhikkhu Bodhi is an American New York native that was ordained in the Vietnamese Mahayana order and remained in robes for more than 50 years as an American venerable. So anytime when there's an American venerable that stays in robes that long, one has to question, wow, and he has a PhD. It's like, yeah, well, I mean, he's not dumb, and he's very, very intellectually enlightened, that remained on the holy path for so long. That's just amazing to me. Because, you know, Americans typically have a lot of skepticism about, well, what's Buddhism, you know? So,
Yeah.
in regards to the soul, Americans' view of the soul, it is an unchanging, permanent entity. Okay? So, me, mine, I. When I die, this is where I will go. This is when I die, this is what I will experience. Okay? I've never in my life have heard another soul replacing this soul. I have heard another soul trying to yank your soul with them. Monkey see, monkey do. I've heard that before. I've heard in the Vietnamese people have told me, yeah, well, I went to bed and then I died. And when I died, I opened up and my uncle, who also died a long time ago, told me to go with him. And I had a choice to go with him or to stay here. And I chose to stay here. So they snapped out of it and came back. Right? I've also heard that people who died and they fell to the ground was because the hell realm from the bottom snatched their ass and dragged them down and sucked their soul out of their body. Oh, that was creepy. Because when I said that, you had a reaction and the screen froze, and I almost screamed like a girl. I was gonna go. I was oh my god, okay.
I'm sorry.
All right.
Is it back on now?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, FaceTime, horrible, wrong timing. You know, white blonde woman. You know, all right. But now near-death experience is when someone goes through like typically surgeries, or they get hit by a car, or they fall off the motorcycle, and something damages their body, and literally they die in that moment. There's so many books written on it, and so many books from reputable people like doctors, medical doctors, and they all kind of report the same relative thing, which is they see this tunnel, they feel a radiance of love at the end of the tunnel. They have a life review about what happened to them. Um, it's just very light. Now, I've never been dead, but I did go through colonoscopies, and the propofol that they give you is the nearest thing ever, and yet you do see everything is fading out and it's all white. But then I'm gone. I don't see any of that stuff. Um, however, the teaching is you don't have to wait to know, even though it does sound very comforting. Well, I haven't read none of those NDE books anyways. Maybe I should. But it sounds to me that it sounds very comforting. And I'm skeptical about those books because if you write a bad book, no one's going to buy more. So you need to write a good book. So a good book would sound very comforting. And I saw this radiating light, and it was like God putting his hands around me. And yeah, it's like I felt forgiven, and I also forgave all of those that I've left behind. Nah, Karen. Nah, Karen. Listen, Karen. Sit down. Sit down. How many people did you cuss at? How many people did you stole from? How many people did you steal from? How many men did you sleep with and cheated on your husband? How about you talk about that, and then you tell me, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Let's so we got missing stories. So in order to like study this thing I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get all deep and personal with that, whoever's out there listening. But my point is, if someone's writing a book, I just don't know. There's a lot of skeptic that I have. Y'all can blame it on me. But in order to study someone's life and near-death experience accurately, you gotta know the person. You gotta know the person personally, before and after the incident, how they lived their life and what philosophy that they adopt, whether they believed in God and actually went to church, you know what I mean, or they had this NDE, and then it's a case by case scenario. But the teaching for today is, while we're still alive and experienced, what did the Bible say? The Bible says the kingdom of the heavens, right? Realizing the kingdom of the heaven is to be realized in the here and now, which is why you're still alive. That's first and foremost. Do the things that you do while you're still alive and experience heaven, nirvana. You guys froze. Oh, God. Equals a good death. Now you can see the instant karmic effects of anger or jealousy or resentment as you are alive. And then also your last thought that you go to bed typically determines the first thought that you wake up with. So you don't have to die to be pissed off. Yeah. Or feel like God's gonna love you. Just again, re-examine in the days of yesterday if things have transpired in your life. If you loved and forgave and truly actually loved, and you woke up this morning feeling loved and that secure, stable, whatever, you know what I mean? It's like, wow, that's heaven to me. And again, when I say enlightenment, I said, the only time you're enlightened is when you're in love. And just look at those times when you were actually in love and you just felt like, wow, I really want to have this moment forever. Right. So again, don't get carried away with near-death experience, because we're always curious about things we don't know. And a lot of people, and if I tell you go out and buy 5 books on it, you'll be wasting your time. All for what? To wait until you die? How are you going to know it's going to be the same thing?
That's what I'm saying. Right.
How are you going to know?
All this distraction for what? Like, it's not, I mean, I get it. I'm one that was distracted, but I just mean, like, yeah, it's a lot of carrot on the stick going on out there.
Okay. Yeah. So does that help you, Miss Jennifer?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
All right, very good, very good. So that's why we teach what we teach, and that's why we continue doing what we're doing, the way that we do it, and how we do it, and how I live my life, the way I live my life. In giving in the moment and being with you all in the moment, coming knocking on your door, being with you. That's my enlightenment, sitting with both of you and watching everything play out. And when I go to sleep, so many times I've said, if I die tonight, I die happy. Because look at the monk's done what he could do for all of you in the moment, you know. So it's like that's my enlightenment right there. Now, whether I go to hell, I'll be happy in hell too, because I'll be happy in hell knowing that I helped the last couple I could on my last breath, Felicia. Oh, what you gonna do? You gonna burn me? Burn me. As long as I am still conscious, I'll be happy as hell in the boiling pot. I'll dance in the boiling pot. I'll swim backwards until there's bones left. So you must live your life that way. You must live your life so holy, a life of virtue, of all giving, and not greed. So that when they do sentence you to hell, you're like, I don't give a damn.
That's beautiful.
And put your lipstick on and wear your favorite dress and be like, excuse me, can you please move out of the way so I can slide my happy down there? You need to live your life victorious that way and not fear death. So the Buddha says, those who live wisely don't even fear death. And just look at the teacher in front of you. Do you think I fear death? Look at how brave I am just by virtue of my presence online. I don't give a crap what people say about me. What you gonna call me? A murderer? A rapist? What you gonna call? Go ahead. I'll call myself for you. I know who I am. You get what I'm saying? I know what I've done. And when I give teachings on givings, and I'm like, my whole life I've given. Find someone in St. Petersburg, Florida, that says the total opposite. I will go to Antarctica and disappear. And that's how I inspire millions. Because I've walked this life when I was little. I didn't, let's go to Walmart and find, orange bed sheets and call myself a monk. And now let's start, scamming people for money and then, go to strip club after the end of this call.
Thank gosh. Thank you.
Right. So anyways, yeah. So, it's just, nothing is far from the truth of who you are, who you can be. It just takes that choice. And again, it just goes back to the choices that, the quality of the choice that you make, just make the right choice. Do the right thing. Not what you really want to do. Am I going to do the right thing? Or am I going to do what I really want to do? And live in accordance. And if you don't know how to live, there's the instructions are right here. And of course you've tried your way, and the Buddha would ask you how well is that working out for you. And like it did for me, I don't accept anything I say. And, I was acting a fool. I was pissing off cops. I've been in handcuffs. It's like I've been. It's like I gave up. I'm like, all right, I don't know. I know Tom, but I don't know Jack. So back to this. So somewhere down the line we have to surrender. And we call that renunciation, and we renounce. And it's like, I don't know anything anymore. I'm here to start over, reborn again. Like born again Christian analogy. Born again. It's okay. You can start tomorrow. You can start in the next second. A new you. What do you want? A new identity? I'll call you Tom, Dick, and Harry. Felicia, DeQuisha, whatever you want to call it. You can start over. Nothing lasts forever. Your emotions don't last forever. Your new thoughts don't last forever. Your boyfriend don't last forever. So it's amazing. The 5 aggregates, the working of the aggregates is amazing once you've mastered it. So. Okay, so we're coming up on 10:20, which is usually we stop at 10 for Bree.
5 kunda.
Right. So if we don't have any more questions, I'd like to conclude.
Thank you so much.
To conclude
wonderful.
Tonight. And again, this was a very auspicious night. Finally get to see Bree. We missed you a lot. And everything
Glad to
worked.
be back.
And everything. Ooh, sorry. and everything worked out. And everything worked out. Um, because you were so ahead that when you're absent, everyone else caught up, and the individualized attention that was needed for Jorge to now. Jorge is gonna be like this gold diamond sculpture when he's done. All of you are gonna become this sculpture to watch you all. That's so joyful to watch humans transform in this particular way. Just the way of the way of the Buddha is like excellence in the beginning, excellence in the middle, and excellence towards the end.
That's so beautiful.
Yes. And then the last thing I wanted to share with all of you is that my lab work is kind of whacked out lately, and I just didn't care. There were just alarming things in my blood work, and I've shared this recently, and I'm like, yeah, research tells us at 40, it kind of really, this is a big marker change at 40. I'm 36. I kind of rounded up to my previous, I used to Vietnamese, Chinese calendar, so I add another year. And sometimes I add 2 years onto myself to get to know, so I don't fool around with my time. But my real legal biological age is 36. So I'm hitting that 40 at 36. I don't really care. You see the fear on my face? I got none. So live wisely, folks, so you don't fear death. Kristen wrote, can some ghosts come back to visit to give messages even though they have let people have let go of people, places, and things before they passed away? I think when they come back and give messages is through the dreams. Because there's so many collective stories about, he came back in my dream and told me this. So I'm not sure either the actual transmissions of that, or we had unsaid things that we did not get to say, and so it's playing out unconsciously according to Sigmund Freud and Erik Erikson's, and forgot the other father of psychology's name, but like, again, like, remember that song, say what you need to say what you need to, say what you need to. Yeah, so that's and again, tonight was exactly that. When I spoke to a gentleman who have attachment to his daughters, I says, I've already had this conversation with my parents about death. Like, it's done, over with. So when they die, I can just move on. I don't got what if I woulda, coulda, shoulda, but I still didn't. You don't want that woulda, coulda, shoulda, didn't, because then you'd be looking for those messages after they die. Yes, sir. You had your hands up, Mr. Jorge.
Oh, I never mentioned this to you, but in thus far, since I've been on this path,
I see your messages.
Whatever amount of years, I've had 3 different dreams with the Buddha. It's very interesting.
Did you write them down, or do you?
No, I just remember that the last one I had, it was my last piece of pizza, and I shared it with him. I was like, "Oh my God, you didn't get a pizza? Here you go." Yeah.
Yeah,
I had 3 different dreams with the Buddha, different occasions, and it was interesting because in all of them, I knew it was him, and it was always something like like it was just, I have all these different things. Like I showed you the other day with that random box with the Buddha. There's all these different karmic, gifts, I call them, that come through my path, and then like people don't believe in ghosts and all that. I'd be like, man, if you went through my life, believe me, you would believe in all of that, because it's just not. There's just unexplainable things that happen that words just come short. It's not about explaining through words about experiences that there's no other explanation other than a divine intervention. Like, it's impossible logically. It's logical, but it's not something of logic. It transcends this, mind thing where we're the subject object. It's very interesting, but yeah, I believe in all that stuff, but it's not a belief based on like, oh, it makes logical sense, or my grandmother told me and I love her so much that I have to believe her, or tradition says it because we've been repeating it over and over and over, but rather it's belief based on my own personal experience of what I've been through.
Yeah. that last sutta that I sent you, the last sutta
Yes,
that I need to send to Bree and I need to send to
that's amazing.
Kristen,
Yeah.
because it talks about, once you, and I don't have my laptop here to go and pull it up. Everything is being used right now in front of me. But it talks about how when you see it for yourself, you experience it for yourself, you will expound it in such a way where it is so declarative, like affirmative action. So yeah, it's the one before the Kalama Sutta. These two
Okay,
sutta goes,
the Kanki Sutta.
yeah. I need to
Okay,
send that to Bree. And again, it talks about your own, the Kanti Sutta. How just read it, just read it, and you'd be like, wow. Canki space Sutta, Sutta, Kanki. It's weird.
Kanki.
Who came up with this
Kanki
Kanki?
Sutta. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, all right.
Thank
So
you.
if that's everything, I'll let you guys go. I got someone here asking me about dependent origination, so I'm going to explain that for 10
Ooh,
seconds.
What a good one.
Yeah. So anyone who needs
Thank
to go,
you,
you all
Master.
can go. Who wants to stay, you can stay. It's on TikTok. I guess someone's new to my channel, so.
All right.
I just don't want them to feel like I'm ignoring them.
Well, good night, everyone.
Good night,
Have
guys.
a good night,
Happy
everyone.
Sunday. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Master, for all your work. Bye.
Yeah, no problem. Take care, Bree. Bye-bye. Okay, so Mahayana. Mr. Mahayana. Have you ever tried explaining dependent origination to people on here? Fastest way to explain dependent origination is links of influence. And how, well, the fastest way to explain it is actually, this is because that is, and that is because this is. If that didn't come to be, this wouldn't come to be. If this came to be, that came, just because of that. So cause and effect. That's the easiest way to explain it. Obviously, anyone who is interested in dependent origination, and you go and see the analytical aspect part of it, it could give you a headache. So I try to make it simple and something that you can relate to and trace back in your own life. For example, the clinical benefit of using it in your own life is like, well, anger. Look back how young you were when you first noticed you were angry, and look at the influence, the links of influence within that. Who did you grow up with? What did you hear? What happened to you? Any trauma, addiction, or abuse that will lead up to the intensity of the anger today. So that would be the clinical applications of dependent origination into your particular anger. Right? So my rope's falling apart. But anyways, so that is the dependent origination that I do. And of course, anyone who wants to act the actual academic part of it, you're gonna have to go on YouTube, because I don't have time to go through each element of the actual 12 links in great details. So, and the other thing, when I explain it to like young people, and I'm like, how did you and her do the thing that y'all did, the boyfriend girlfriend thing? And I'm like, well, let's back up a little bit. You went to the movie theaters, yes? And then you put your arms around her, yes, and then y'all started kissing, yes, and then you went home, and then that's what happened. So, links of influence. Easy for the Gen Zs and Alphas or the lovebirds out there to get. Okay, so if that is everything, I'd like to conclude tonight. Anyone else have any questions? Let me see here. Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, my job is to try to simplify things. Because Buddhism can be confusing when you glance over it. Alright. I gotta wrap things up and try to catch some Z's tomorrow, 5 a.m. I gotta be at the airport. Okay, we don't have any more questions. Anyone else would like to go live and ask? I'd like to conclude tonight. Just screening in my head to see if I forgot anything. I think that should do it. There's more in my head, but probably need to reserve some energy. Reserve some energy for Florida, and then I'll go back live again when I get to Florida. But thank you all for being wonderful listeners. Hopefully you all learned a lot. Hopefully you get curious into the teachings of the Buddha, and then you'll have more questions the next time I go live. Okay. So again, you guys can visit my YouTube for additional teachings, a history of teachings. That's 2,000 videos on there. And may you all be well, be happy, be free, and always be healthy. And until the very next time. Okay. Good night here in Toronto.